What's up, survivors? Sinful Pandora here with a short Ark Survival Ascended tips and tricks video. This is definitely geared toward brand new players, like so many people in my community that want to pick up the game for the very first time. So they have either never played ASE or have played very little. For the veterans out there, I appreciate you hanging out and showing support. Since we only have roughly 10 or 15 minutes, I'm definitely going to leave some important things out, so if you, as a more experienced player, have anything else you think is a good tip for a new player, then please comment down below and let them know. All right, let's get into it. First, let's quickly discuss the difference between ASE and ASA. I'm sure many of you have heard of Ark Survival Evolved, as it's been a wildly popular game for many years. So why the sudden hype in this game called ASA? Is it Ark 2? No. In fact, Ark 2 is releasing within another year or so. ASA, however, is a remaster of ASE, and it is technically in early access right now, with only one map currently released, and that is the island map. However, they do plan on releasing all of the maps that we knew from the original game over the course of the next year or so that's pretty great. To call this game a remaster, though, feels like a little bit of a crime, because it's honestly so good with many of the graphical and quality of life changes. So, I don't want to give too many tips in terms of graphics, settings, and all of that, but I will say quickly, running the command r.volumetric cloud and then space 0 is going to give you like 15 and 20 extra frames even. And overall, I find my game crashes a lot less when I use it, and I think game crashing has been probably one of the biggest issues for people right now. So yeah, I would really recommend using that. You are going to need to put it in every time you boot up the game, but until there's further optimization, I highly recommend it. And even though the clouds can be very pretty, I actually really love how they updated the night sky in ASA, and I think I enjoy it more without the clouds. So it not only runs better, I personally think it looks better in most situations. It also makes it not be so dark at nighttime, which for recording purposes at least is pretty great. So moving on to actual gameplay, I honestly believe starting out in Ark is the hardest part, and the difficulty and confusion for some at the beginning tends to be why I think some people quit. A lot of people spawn in one of a few areas labeled easy on the map, which is great, and you should do that, but don't expect those areas to be truly easy. Death lurks around every corner in Ark, and it can actually spiral out of control quickly and be super frustrating for a first-time player. So my advice is to not give up on the game immediately and to try to find your bearings early on. Like most survival games, you're going to want to start building and crafting some of the basics. A pick, a hatchet, a torch. If you're getting Minecraft vibes from this, I think that that's appropriate. It's different, of course, but some things, are universal from survival game to survival game. Once you have the initial few tools to try to gather some resources, maybe once you have made some spears, another very basic tool necessary for killing some of the small creatures that are going to be in these easier starting areas, like dodo birds, which can give you hide, and meat, which you can cook in a campfire and eat. Once you get some of these things, you're going to want to start working on building a very small base. And I do say small because you should start small. Do not try to build the grand, base of your dreams right from the beginning. Ark, I think especially Ark Survival Ascended, has some really cool structures, but you are not going to be building those until much later on. So just get you a place where you can put some of those campfires down to cook meat so that you have this food that you can carry with you and eat. And don't eat raw meat. Small tip. Should be obvious when you hover over it. It says not to eat it, but yeah, don't do it. I think the first time I ever played Ark Survival Evolved, I wasn't really paying attention, and I was like, oh, meat, great, and I ate it, and don't do that. Cook the meat. Anyway, once you've sort of set up your little initial small home base area, you're going to want to put a bed down. The way that respawning works in this game, if you die, not if, when you die, is that you can respawn at a bed. So you're going to want to have that in your little base where you might have some storage boxes, campfires, those things we just talked about. Maybe some of those extras of like tools and stuff that you've made. You're going to want to have the bed there so you're able to respawn. Now, there are sleeping bags and there are beds. Sleeping bags are cheaper to make than beds, but sleeping bags disappear when you use them as a respawn point, so just keep that in mind. If you do respawn and you want to go back to your dead body to try to get some of your lost gear, that's totally possible, but there is a time limit on how long your body or your body bag is going to exist in the world. So again, very similar concept to many survival games, including Minecraft. And of course, also, if you die in certain places, your body bag is not going to be obtainable. But in Ark, that's less of an issue. There's very few places that are like that. So most of the time, you'll be able to follow your death marker on the map, which you can access by pressing M. And you're going to be able to get your body bag back. But I will say that you should just leave your body alone if you cannot get there safely the first attempt. So what I mean by that is a lot of people will try to go back to their dead body and then die, and then try to go back to their dead body again and then die. And I mean, that can work as long as you're picking up your loot every time and then dying again. You're technically resetting that timer. So it can work, but I would say that sometimes you just need to cut your losses. That's in Ark especially, you're going to die with some initial resources, and that's perfectly fine. You might feel like it's a big deal to have some spears and a pick and a hatchet and maybe even some of that cloth armor. And you might feel like you really need to get that back, but you really, really don't. And you should not continue to die to the same pack of raptors over and over and over and over again just to try to get those few things that I promise you won't mean much in very little time if you just keep, working towards your goal and just go back to your base and just rebuild a little bit. It's important to note that the way that in which you unlock items to be able to craft them is through an engram system, and you'll be able to see that when you open your inventory and you sort of on the top of the screen, you go over to the right, you'll be able to see your engrams that you can select. So there's going to be some basic things you essentially have to start with. The first few rows, you're going to want to pick everything there. But just so you're aware, you're not going to be able to purchase everything here on most servers, at least. This is not always the case. On the servers I run, everyone actually can unlock every engram, but that's not the case on official servers. And it's not the case on, I would say, the majority of servers. So basically you're going to have points to spend on which engrams you want to unlock. And it's not a 1-to-1 ratio when you level up. It's not like you level up and you get one engram point, or even that you get the same every time. You are going to get a lot more engram points than you are levels. The levels do max out at 100. The engram points obviously don't. They go much, much higher. But yeah, you won't be able to buy everything there. So you don't need to choose wisely in the very beginning, but I would say when you get more to the middle of the game, you need to start thinking about things a little bit more. ASA brought a pretty big change with it that I personally love. I think it's honestly my favorite change out of everything. And that is the fact that there are wild babies in the game. Honestly, there should have been wild babies in ASE. I don't know why there wasn't, but for some reason that was overlooked. Whatever. All can be forgiven because they are here in ASA. Wild babies are honestly kind of overpowered, though. I know that's a weird thing to say, but when taming, you will learn that there are foods that are more effective for tames. Now, I won't go into all of that right now, but in general, meat eaters can eat things like raw meat, cooked meat, and, usually raw meat is like more effective, right? But there's a thing called prime meat, and prime meat is usually for a meat eater the most effective thing besides kibble, which is like a more mid-game to late-game thing. But now with wild babies, if you kill them, even if you just kill something small like a dodo baby, then you will be able to get prime meat from it. Maybe only 1 or 2 if you're harvesting it with primitive weapons, but nonetheless, you'll be able to get prime meat from it. This is going to be super, super, super helpful and important for getting tames early on, specifically pteranodons, which will undoubtedly be your first flyers in the game. There's another reason that babies are OP, and that is because if you manage to kill the parents of the babies, which you can see will be marked by a little almost like a white like heart above them. Now you'll see hearts above creatures, like pink hearts above creatures whenever they're mate boosted. Mate boosted just means that there's a male and a female, a mate nearby each other, and that's going to buff them essentially. But no, you're looking for the little white symbol above their head, and then you're looking for a baby that has a little pacifier above it. If you kill the parents, it's cruel and twisted, I know, but if you kill the parents, you will be able to walk up to the baby and press E to imprint on it. That's it. That means it's now your tame. And that is really, really, really OP. You can get some good creatures early on because of this. So I think that that's the new strat for early taming. So yeah, those are my personal tips. And again, like I know people are going to have, a differing opinions on it, and they're, everybody thinks their own things. I'm just wanting to talk to the people who are true ARC noobs and just let you know how I think you should kind of like start the game out basically, so you don't get super frustrated with it. So I hope you found this helpful. If you guys have any questions, comment them below. And like I said, if you have tips for noobs or, more advanced tips, go ahead and share those below. So yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one.